Hi, this is the help, let's see, I think the fourth help video for Chapter 6, Guided Project 6.3, and we're starting on Step 13, where we're going to do an ifs function. And so we have a series of conditions that we want to string together. And so if we look at our ratings here, so here's our overall rating for our survey. And then here's the categories. So if the overall rating is greater, 9 or greater, we want to put excellent. If it's between 8 and 9, above average. Between 5 and 7, average. Below 5 is poor. So we're going to use this to pull over what the rating is in the category. So we're going to begin in the logical and find ifs. The first logical test is we want to look at this average, so that's G5, greater or equal, and the category is 9, the set point is 9, so 9 or higher. If that's true, we want to put the word excellent. And I want to hit the F4 here because I want to be able to copy this down and still pull that word excellent. So excellent doesn't move, so we need to lock it in. Second test, if it's not greater or equal to 9, we got to check for the next range. So overall, which is the G5, greater or equal, what's the low point here? 8. If that's true, we're going to come up and click above average and make it absolute. But if that's not true, we got to keep coming down here, right? And so we're going to say G5 greater or equal to 5. And I got that because it says between 5 and 7. Tab. If that's true, we're going to put average in there. We're going to click on average, absolute, tab. The last test, and I got to tell you, as somebody who's spent years programming, this last piece is not needed, but you need to do it for your SimNet. Because if it's not greater or equal to 5, then it's below 5. Like you would never get to poor unless you don't have to test for it. But the instructions are telling you to test for it, so we need to do that. So G5 less than 5. If that's true, and I'm just hitting my tab key to get to the next one, then we want to put poor. Then we want to put poor and make it an absolute reference. So in this one, this 8.4 is resulting in above average, and that's correct, between 8 and 9. So I'm going to go ahead and say okay. It's going to put the word above average, so I did all this. So we did all that, we did all that, we did all that. Now we just want to copy the formula down. So I'm going to click here and double click. So let's just do a double check. 9, that would be excellent. 6.8, yep, average. 4.8, poor. 6.6 should be average. So they all worked out. So the only thing we need to do here is make this column as wide as they want it. So I'm just going to click on my column, home, format, column width, instead of messing with trying to get it 13.57. There we go. I mean, you can drag it, but when they give you those weird numbers like that, I just go over here to format and change it. Okay, so the next thing, so I'm going to take a second and save that. All right, so calculate depreciation for an asset using a financial function. So we're going to come over here to depreciation. So we have some packaging equipment that the cost this has a salvage value of $22,000 and 8 years of life. So we're going to click on C11 and we want to do the DB function, right? So formulas, and it's a financial DB. Returns the depreciation of an asset for a specified period using the fixed declining balance method. Okay, guys, I got to admit, so all you accounting majors, you probably understand this a whole lot better than I do. In other words, the actual meaning behind this. I can do the formula all day long, but explaining to you what this actually means is not something I'm good at. All right, so we did the financial function. So the cost. So I'm just going to, cost is the initial cost of the asset. Well, the initial cost is in, let me get this, C6, right? Cost of equipment, C6. We're going to make it absolute. The salvage cost here, make it absolute. The life is in C8, absolute. And then in the period, that's the first year. So we're going to come over here. That one we don't make absolute, right? So this would calculate the depreciation for the first year of using this equipment. So we're going to click on OK, and that 39.9 is correct, right? So now what we need to do is we need to look at this equipment over the life of the 8 years that it's listed for this years of life. So we're going to copy this formula, and we have it set up, guys, correctly, where all the references up here are absolute. The one thing that's telling it the year in the life of the equipment is relative, so it can switch to 2, to 3, to 4. So I'm just going to double click, and it should bring down all the way through 8 years. Each year's depreciation is less because it gets older and older, right? So there's, okay. So now we're going to select C19, and we're going to do an auto sum. And it is approximate because of rounding. Let's see if we're at least close. So I'm not sure you can see it that well, but it's 152. So we're pretty good. We did it okay. All right, let me move this back small. So we are good with that. So we only have one last thing on here. I'm going to save, and that's this Concat. So Concat is the new version of concatenate, which is like, what the heck does that mean? So all that does is it brings together text. And so it's like gluing various fields together to make a new string. So the first thing we have to do is unhide email. So anywhere down here, you can right click and say unhide, and there's our email. So we're going to pull that in. And so what we're going to do is concatenate in here, the first name, comma, first name, last name, and then the at, because all of these people are at the same email system, and put it in here so we don't have to retype it. So we undid that. So select C5. We're going to start by doing equal CON, and there's Concat. Click on it, maybe. And then the first is A5, comma, B5. So the comma says join this with this, comma. So these are individual elements that you're joining together. And so on this one, we're going to do a quote at weshoes.org and then end quote. And so look, and then I hit enter. So it did their person's first name, last name, at. So one of the things that you could do if you're not crazy about that, doing it through here, is you could always go to the Concat and do it like this, right? Like we've been doing. Same way. So once that's done, we can just copy this down and save it. So once we have it saved, I just want to double check where I saved it to. Downloads. Okay. So once we have that done, we can get out and then we can come back up here and we can upload it for grade wherever shoes and then see how you got what grade you got. And there it is, right? So good luck. Let me know if you have any problems with it. Chapter 6 is a challenge. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put out a like a little guide for each of the functions that are covered in Chapter 6. So hopefully that'll help both on this assignment and on the test when you go to take it. All right, guys, thanks.